this year when we're probably not going to have, 50 people around a table, it's really fun to remember how it feels.
The Gaithers have always presented the image of a perfect family to the world, but was it all just a lie? After the divorce, Bill Gaither has finally broken his silence. The truth was hidden for years, but now it's out. What really went on behind closed doors? Stay tuned to find out. Rumors of trouble in the Gaither family. For years, the Gaithers had been seen as the gold standard of faith, family, and gospel music. Bill and his wife had built not just a career together, but what appeared to be an unbreakable partnership. Fans admired their bond, believing they represented something pure and unwavering. But lately, something had changed. People started noticing small but undeniable signs that things weren't as perfect as they seemed. At first, it was subtle. They began appearing together less frequently, and when they did, something about their interactions felt different. They no longer shared the same warmth on stage that fans had come to expect. The easy smiles, the casual touches, the meaningful glances. Those small, intimate gestures that had once seemed so natural had started to disappear. Instead, there was a noticeable distance, something tense lingering between them. The first real whispers of trouble started when Bill appeared at an event alone. He had always spoken so highly of his wife, always making sure to mention her in interviews, crediting her as his greatest support. But at this particular event, when someone casually asked about her absence, Bill simply gave a vague answer, something about scheduling conflicts. That might have been enough for most people, but longtime fans knew better. Bill had never been one to dismiss questions about his wife so quickly. That moment planted the first seeds of doubt. Then more instances started piling up. They were spotted arriving separately at concerts, leaving in different cars. Even in the rare moments when they were on stage together, they kept their distance, their interactions feeling more like a performance than a natural connection. Fans took to social media, questioning what was going on. Some speculated that they were just going through a rough patch. After all, every couple has challenges. Others weren't so sure. They pointed out that Bill seemed unusually tense, distracted, even lost in thought during performances. Some claimed he had started avoiding certain personal questions during interviews, keeping answers short and redirecting conversations elsewhere. Then came the biggest sign that something was truly wrong: cancellations. Events that had been planned for months were suddenly postponed, sometimes without clear explanations. Bill, who had always been dedicated to his fans, started pulling away from public appearances. There were no direct announcements, but people couldn't ignore the pattern. Something was happening behind the scenes, something serious enough to affect both their careers and their personal lives. The speculation grew, and with it, the rumors became wilder. Some people said there was a financial dispute between them, that they were arguing over business decisions related to their brand. Others whispered that there had been a major falling out with close friends or members of their inner circle, which had put pressure on their marriage. Some even suggested that their faith itself was being tested, that personal doubts or disagreements about the direction of their ministry were driving them apart. But the most shocking rumors were the ones no one wanted to believe. Whispers of infidelity started circulating, growing louder with each passing week. People claimed that trust had been broken, that there was more to the tension between them than just professional or personal struggles. No one had proof, but that didn't stop fans from speculating. Some insisted that Bill's wife had been acting differently, avoiding eye contact in public, looking uncomfortable whenever the subject of their marriage came up. Others believed that Bill himself had changed, becoming more closed off, less open with those around him. The more people talked, the more the rumors spread. It didn't help that neither Bill nor his wife addressed any of the speculation. Their silence only made things worse. Some fans clung to the hope that everything was fine, that these were just baseless rumors fueled by gossip and overanalysis. But others weren't convinced. They believed something was happening behind closed doors, something that would soon come to light. And then, suddenly, everything came to a head. The moment that would change everything was just around the corner, and when it happened, the truth would shock everyone.
It's good to be with you. This has been an interesting time. Gloria and I have just during this time, we've got one goal. We just said, Lord, help us be real good citizens. In fact, we said we want to get an A in citizenship.
Remember that grade in junior high? Yeah. A in citizenship.
If we have to wear the mask, we'll wear the mask, and we just want to get through this, and I think we are. So.
Well, you look good. You look healthy, and I'm glad you're obeying all the rules. We want to keep you guys around a long, long time.
But she's a great cook, and we put on a few pounds during that. And we've been staying home. We're fortunate because Angie, who works with us in the house, she goes to the grocery store for us and the drugstore. So we've really seen very few people, with the exception of our family. So
Our family's been in, yeah.
The breaking point. A night that changed everything. It was a night like any other, at least, that's what Bill Gaither thought. He had been out late, attending a private meeting with close friends and colleagues. His schedule had been packed recently, and even though he was exhausted, he still made the effort to show up, smiling as if everything in his life was fine. But the truth was, something had been gnawing at him for months. A feeling he couldn't quite shake. A sense that something was off. He told himself it was just stress, that he was overthinking things, but deep down, he knew better. As he drove home, his mind wandered. He thought about how different things had felt lately. The distance between him and his wife wasn't just in his head. He had felt it, seen it, lived it. The way she avoided his gaze. The way their conversations had become shorter. The quiet tension that filled the spaces where laughter used to be. He had told himself that all marriages went through rough patches, that it was just a phase. But tonight, for some reason, the doubts wouldn't leave him. It was late when he pulled into the driveway. The house was dark except for a faint glow from the living room. Bill frowned. His wife usually went to bed early when he had late meetings, but tonight she was still up. He stepped out of the car, his shoes crunching against the gravel, and made his way to the front door. As soon as he stepped inside, he felt it. Something was wrong. There was laughter, soft and intimate, coming from the other room. A laugh he hadn't heard in a long time. His stomach twisted. He stood frozen in the hallway, listening, his heart hammering against his ribs. Slowly, he stepped forward, his hands clenched into fists. And then he saw it. His wife, wrapped in the arms of another woman. For a moment, everything around him disappeared. The air left his lungs, and the room felt smaller, closing in on him. He blinked, hoping he was imagining things, that maybe the dim lighting was playing tricks on his eyes. But there was no mistaking what he was seeing. His wife pulled back, her face turning pale as she noticed him standing there. The other woman stepped away quickly, her expression filled with guilt. Bill's breath was ragged, his pulse roaring in his ears. He wanted to speak, to say something, but words wouldn't come. His body felt frozen, his mind racing through memories, trying to piece together the signs he had ignored for so long.
And Ernie, I just want to tell you what a great honor it is that you guys chose to do this project. I mean, to do a whole project of one person's writing is pretty amazing. How did you decide what you wanted to do? It's a beautiful project. You know, interesting what you said about having cottage prayer meetings. I did that growing up too, and often I've said I think the primary educational institution and the primary religious institution is the home. Mm-hmm. And so during this time when a lot of us have been home more than we have chosen maybe, and a lot of people with little kids have had to homeschool, home entertain, home play games, home do exercise, all as a part of the home life. But, you know, I think that if we are open to it, makes our lives richer.
What? What is this? His voice was barely above a whisper, but it cut through the silence like a blade. His wife didn't answer right away. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. She looked like she had been caught in a moment she never thought would be exposed. The other woman, uncomfortable and clearly wanting to leave, glanced between them, unsure of what to do. Bill felt a sharp pain in his chest, not physical, but something deeper. Betrayal, humiliation, anger. 1,000 emotions swirled inside him, but one question burned hotter than all the rest. How long? His voice was stronger this time, though he barely recognized it as his own. His wife flinched. Bill, how long? His voice cracked, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. She hesitated, and that hesitation was enough. He already knew the answer. This wasn't a mistake, wasn't some fleeting moment of weakness. This was something real, something that had been happening behind his back while he had been too blind to see it. His vision blurred with anger. He had never been a man to lose control, but right now, he was dangerously close. He turned away, running a hand through his hair, trying to collect himself. His breath was shaky, his body trembling with rage. The silence stretched between them, thick and unbearable. Finally, his wife took a cautious step forward. "Bill, please, let's talk about this." He let out a bitter laugh, shaking his head. "Talk? Now you want to talk?" His voice was laced with pain, and he could see it hit her like a slap, but he didn't care. He had spent too long pretending things were fine, ignoring the warning signs. He had tried to hold on to something that had already been slipping through his fingers, and now here it was. The truth staring him in the face. "I didn't want you to find out like this," she said softly, regret in her eyes. He let out a hollow chuckle, shaking his head. "Oh, I bet you didn't." The sarcasm in his voice masked the raw pain beneath. He felt sick, like the ground beneath him had cracked open, leaving him standing on the edge of something dark and uncertain. He had built his life on faith, on trust, on the belief that love could withstand anything. But now, he wasn't sure what to believe anymore. His hands clenched into fists at his sides. "Was any of it real?" he asked, his voice quieter now, almost broken. She took another step forward, reaching for him, but he stepped back. He couldn't bear to be near her. Not now. Not after this. Tears welled up in her eyes. "Bill, I never meant to hurt you." But she had, and there was no taking it back. He let out a heavy breath, running a hand over his face. His entire world had just collapsed, and he had no idea what came next. The only thing he knew for sure was that this, whatever this had been, was over. Without another word, he turned and walked out the door, the cool night air hitting him like a wave. He needed to get out, to clear his head, to figure out what came next. As he stepped into his car and drove off into the darkness, one thought kept circling in his mind. Nothing would ever be the same again.
And I love what you said, that you sang our songs or any songs about the gospel first at home. No wonder you want to go around the country singing them, because they're in your blood. You know, the messages. I like to think that songs are portable theology. We carry it with us in the bathtub, and you know, at the grocery store. It's going on in our head. Songs play in our head, and I also speak and I write other things, but I really do know that when you're going down for the third time, it's always the lyrics to some old hymn or old gospel song that rescues you when you're in trouble. And as a writer, Bill and I take very seriously, you know, the truth of what we put in our songs, because if that's what's going to come to you when you're most in need, it needs to be true.
Mm-hmm. You know, with this medley, Ernie, is the first one loving God and loving each other? Is that the first one?
The very first, loving God. Loving each other.
Okay, this is it, and I can remember when we were sitting around saying, "Okay, we can't record all of these tunes, so let's go through and get a medley and sing a little bit of some of your better ones." Now, you did do "He Touched Me" as a whole song, "Because He Lives" as a whole song, and there's something about the name. But how can we get some of these other songs?
The fans react, shock, outrage, and divided opinions. When the news of Bill Gaither's shocking discovery broke, the gospel community was thrown into absolute chaos. It started as a whisper, a rumor that seemed too outrageous to believe. Bill Gaither, the man who had spent decades building a legacy of faith, music, and family, had walked in on his wife in the arms of another woman. It was the kind of scandal that no one had expected, and as soon as it hit social media, it spread like wildfire. At first, many fans refused to believe it. Fake news, they called it. Some even accused gossip sites of fabricating the entire story just to tarnish Bill's name. To them, Bill and his wife had always been the perfect couple, an example of what a godly marriage should be. The idea that such a devastating betrayal could happen in their household was simply unthinkable. These loyal followers flooded social media with messages of support, posting old pictures of the couple together, sharing testimonies of how the Gaithers had impacted their lives, and praying that the truth would be revealed soon. They wanted to believe there had been a misunderstanding, that Bill would eventually come forward and clear up all the rumors. But as more details surfaced, that hope started to fade. Insiders close to the family confirmed that the incident had indeed happened, and that Bill had left his home in a state of emotional devastation. Witnesses claimed he had been spotted driving aimlessly that night, needing time to process what he had seen. A close friend of Bill's, who remained anonymous, told a reporter that he had never seen him so broken. That was when the reality of the situation began to sink in for many fans. It wasn't just a rumor, it was real. The reactions were instant and explosive. Some fans were furious, directing their anger toward Bill's wife. They called her a hypocrite, accusing her of betraying not only her husband, but also the faith they had both preached for so many years. How could she do this to him? One fan wrote in an emotional Facebook post. After everything they've been through, after everything he's done for their family, this is how she repays him? Others took it even further, saying that she had been deceiving fans all along. If she was willing to lie to Bill for who knows how long, another fan commented, how do we know she hasn't been lying to all of us too? The backlash against her grew rapidly. Some Christian organizations that had previously supported her distanced themselves. Events she had been scheduled to attend were quietly canceled. People began looking back at past interviews and performances, trying to find any signs that might have hinted at what was going on behind closed doors. Every past moment was now being analyzed under a new lens as fans tried to make sense of the shocking betrayal. But not everyone was on Bill's side. A different faction of fans argued that the outrage was overblown, that private matters should remain private, and that no one really knew what went on inside a marriage. We don't know her side of the story, some wrote, urging people not to jump to conclusions. Others believed that the reaction from the Christian community was too harsh. They pointed out that judgment and condemnation weren't the right responses. Didn't Jesus preach love and forgiveness? One Twitter user asked. Maybe we should stop throwing stones and start praying instead. Then there were those who focused on Bill himself, wondering what this meant for his career. Would he step away from the spotlight? Would he still be able to lead worship with the same heart and passion after such a betrayal? Many worried that this scandal would leave permanent scars on him, that he would never be the same again. Others believed this might push him to create some of his most powerful music yet, using his pain and heartbreak to bring even more meaning to his songs. Speculation about Bill's next move took over online discussions. Would he file for divorce? Would he publicly address the situation? Or would he choose to stay silent, keeping his pain hidden from the world? Fans debated endlessly, with some hoping he would speak out soon, while others believed he had every right to handle the matter in private. Meanwhile, the media took full advantage of the situation. Headlines were everywhere, from gossip sites to mainstream news outlets. Some took a more sensationalized approach, crafting dramatic headlines like "Betrayal in the Gospel World," "Bill Gaither's Heartbreak," and "The Scandal That Rocked Christian Music." Talk shows brought in experts to discuss how scandals like this affected public figures in religious communities, and whether Bill's image would ever fully recover. One thing was clear, this was no longer just a personal matter. It had become a public spectacle, and everyone had an opinion. Despite the chaos, one overwhelming theme emerged: support for Bill. Thousands of fans flooded his social media with messages of encouragement. Some sent Bible verses, others shared personal stories of overcoming betrayal and heartbreak. Many simply reminded him that he wasn't alone, that they were praying for him, and that his legacy wouldn't be defined by someone else's actions. Churches across the country even started organizing prayer vigils for him. "We stand with Bill" became a common phrase among his supporters. His name trended on social media for days, with people from all walks of life expressing their sorrow for what had happened to him. Even celebrities in the gospel and Christian music industry came forward to show their support. Some posted heartfelt messages, while others called him directly to offer words of comfort. But through all of this, Bill remained silent. Days passed, then weeks, and still, he made no public statement. Fans grew even more anxious, wondering if he was okay, if he was processing everything behind closed doors, or if he had simply chosen to walk away from it all. The silence only fueled further speculation. Some believed he was planning a major comeback, that he would address the scandal in a powerful way. Others feared he was done with public life altogether. But one thing was undeniable. This moment had changed everything. Whether Bill would return to the stage or not, whether he would share his story or keep it private, his name would forever be tied to this heartbreaking chapter. And as fans, critics, and media alike waited for his next move, one question remained on everyone's mind. What would Bill Gaither do next?